either unknowingly or knowingly, white supremacy is the story that gives so many white people meaning. And I think this framework of talking about stories and myths are incredibly helpful as we're talking about race and justice. It's not simply, that people have on white hoods with holes cut in them and hiding their faces, but it's about the deeper stories that give our lives value and meaning. And this idea of white supremacy, this idea of we are the center of existence and we are the standard by which all people must be judged against. We are the starting point. And to use theory language, we are, let me use this kind of big word real quick. We are the epistemological starting point and the teleological end. And so we are the starting point of the way people think about the world, and we are the end goal, in some sense, of the world that they should achieve. Or to use biblical and theological language, we are the beginning of creation, and whiteness becomes the consummation of life. And so it's this idea of breaking down this story that gives them meaning. And so when Black folk start talking about Blackness and Black bodies and the embodied experience of Black people, and in ways that is not necessarily about convincing white people, but that we are as equal as your children, the same way you look and intimately listen to your children, the same way you value your mama and your daddy and your grandma and your business partners, are the same way we have value in this world. We are equal. We are alive. We are free. And so I think, one of the things Toni Morrison will say, it's a profound delusion. And so when you start talking about addressing the profound delusion of whiteness and the story of that gives so many white folk meaning, you really, there are three main ways white people respond. Either white people respond in apathy, and I alluded to that earlier. And I mean, you hear stories of Black suffering and Black pain and immigration and the ways in which, people who are non-white or whatnot are exploited or are treated as second-class citizens, or are legally, as the boys will say in the Souls of Black folk, either by force or by fraud, are treated as less than and valued less than. Whenever that happens, when you hear those stories and those stories become proximate to your mind and to your heart, and in your surroundings, some people respond in apathy because, the world, in some sense, when you're not in proximity with the struggle of other people, when you don't have that kind of emotional closeness, it really doesn't necessarily affect your life in any legitimate way. And so it responds in apathy. Okay, yeah, it's tough, but it doesn't really, I don't have nothing to do with that. And so, I may share something on social media, but as far as that, it's probably the furthest I would go. I respond in apathy and indifference. Then some people respond in hostility because they understand, that whiteness is a thing. White folk understand the whiteness of the thing. You look at medical records, you look at the census, or whatnot. White folk, when that race thing come on, or whatnot, and they got to put them documents on that race, I say, hey, white brothers and sisters, hold up that imaginary document, and everybody that didn't put W on that document, put your hands down. White folk will keep their hands up because they know what white means, and since you put it on your documents, you know what it means. It's just that addressing whiteness is a totally different thing. It's not that white folks don't understand what whiteness is. It's that white folk don't want to deal with what whiteness does. And that's the thing. Hostility that I was engaged, that I was met with, was because I was addressing, and not just me, but many people were addressing not just what whiteness is, but what whiteness does to all of us. And what it does, as Baldwin would say in that letter to In the Fire Next Time, in some sense, for many reasons, white people are convinced that, Black people are less than or whatnot, and they don't want to lose power and place and privilege.